I'm reading Death Note. I have seen the show, most of it. I've never read the manga. I am a big fan of the show, though. I used to actually have a little Death Note notebook, and it came with a feather pen, and I don't know where it is. It's probably somewhere in this house. Not positive. But I would like to read the manga. It's 11 volumes. I want to do another read along. If you don't know what Death Note's about, I will give you the best summary I can, which is it's about a 17-year-old boy named Light Yagami. He finds this notebook one day, the Death Note, and he finds that if you write someone's name in it, they die. Anybody's name, and you can choose how they die. I don't remember if you can choose when they die, but the Death Note is tied to a demon called Ryuk, who dropped his Death Note because he was bored and he wanted to see what would happen if some random person got a hold of his Death Note. So that is what the story is. Light decides to play God, and chaos ensues. And that's what I'm going to say for now, but there will be heavy spoilers in this whole thing. I believe the anime follows pretty close with the mangas, so I don't know. I probably will be saying spoilers for, I guess, technically both, but I want to warn you now. So I'm going to start volume 1 and then pop back in if I got something to say or if I finish. Forgot to mention, Light is a total freak. He has something super wrong with him, which is part of the point of the story. But so, yeah, it's a death god who has this notebook. I think, like, there's a lot of them that have death notes. Ryuk is the one who dropped his. And the kid found the notebook, and he goes home, and Ryuk, a giant death god, shows up, and Light's like, I've been waiting for you. He's like, what? You're just fine seeing me? And he's like, yeah, took you long enough to get here. So that's like the kind of person we're dealing with. He's probably the worst person to get the Death Note, in my opinion. I don't know if the themes of this book are specifically supposed to be like the morals and ethics of, if you had something like this, is it right for you to kill bad people? Who gets deemed a bad person? Like, who gets to decide? Is it your right or not? Because as far as I know, the thing that's focused on most with this series is the cat and mouse game of the person trying to catch the person who is killing, because it becomes a thing where the killings are all similar enough that they figure out that it's the same person. I'll get to that later. But I'm not very good at media literacy, so maybe it's super obvious. But yeah, Light's a terrible person. So you get that idea immediately. He's an overachiever in school, which is fine. That's not part of it. But his main focus is school and stuff. He's a very well-behaved kid. But there's just something off about him, and just the second he picks up this Death Note, he starts reading the rules, and his wheels start turning, and he is just too chill meeting the Death God. And I like that just immediately there's no debate about it. There's something wrong with this kid. And it's like, uh-oh, he has this notebook that has the power to kill anybody he wants to if he writes down their name and thinks of their face. So, I'm expecting this series to be very fun, because I remember the show being fun, but I never finished it. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get through all of these and get the actual conclusion of the story. Light has made his first kill. He was sitting at his desk watching TV, and some man who took a bunch of people hostage was shown on TV, so he wrote his name down, and the guy died. Light seemed a little bit surprised, not terribly bothered by it. He had a bit of a thing of like, well, if I do this, am I a murderer? I don't know. And then like the next day at school, he was trying to decide how to continue to do it, saying like, oh, I guess this should be a criminal, I think, because he doesn't want to get caught, obviously, because it counts as murder, but not like 5 pages later, he immediately is killing again. He was walking down the street and he saw some women being hassled by these guys on motorcycles, and he immediately writing down names, saying who's gonna die, how they're gonna die. He likes killing. He likes cleaning up the world. I remember that from the show. He has a god complex. That's his whole thing. And he's just totally cool being judge, jury, and executioner kidnapped all these people he decides are bad. And admittedly, these guys on the motorcycle are not very nice people. But I just remember him killing so many people. There's 11 volumes of this. I'm very curious as to what the final death count's going to be, because he's had this death note for a few days. He's been killing for less than 1 day, and he's already killed, I think, like, at least 2 people, maybe the other guys on the motorcycle. But he goes off very, very fast. I don't remember how fast he did it in the show. But, like, wow, we are 20% in. He has killed multiple people. I'm kind of wondering if I should try and keep a tally. I don't know if I'm going to, because I think it's going to be too many and it's going to get out of control quick. But we are hitting the ground running here. Feels like a pretty important panel to showcase his thought process. Not only did he really not hesitate to kill, supposedly it's the second kill was to verify the death note was actually real and it wasn't a coincidence. But as soon as he figured it out, he was basically immediately going into, oh, it's my job to fix the whole world. My brain alone can decide who should live and who should die. And this page is just like perfect to illustrate, obviously. And another good panel. I guess it's not exactly as subtle as I was expecting it to be. He's just outright saying, only I can decide who's good or not. And I'm going to scare them so bad by killing them all in a way that's very clear that it's connected, so that people are too scared to ever do bad things again. And he was even talking about people who just harassed people, not only people who are killing and kidnapping and maiming, but literally people who are harassing other people. He wants a world that is absolutely just the most pure, good version of what he thinks people can be. And it's immediately really scary. He's 17 years old, and it's very unsettling how he is just immediately like, I am the only one who can decide. It's coming off much better in the manga than it does in the show. I don't know why exactly, maybe because I can put my own voice in it. I will say, though, unfortunately, I do hear the Ryuk voice as Willem Dafoe in my head because I watched the movie. The movie's terrible. I probably will not be rewatching it for this video. I believe it's on Netflix if you want to go watch it. It is one of the worst adaptations I've ever seen in my entire life. It's like they made it in America with American characters, and they didn't really follow the story at all. They kept the part that was like, they sort of kept the part with Light being pursued by someone, I'll just say, I guess now, a guy named L is trying to catch him because he knows that someone is out there killing people. That was in the movie. That's kind of it. Very little similarities. Very terrible. Super fun to watch. I have actually seen it several times. I'm just not going to rewatch it for this because I don't feel like I need to, because it's really irrelevant to the book. But it's good if you like really bad movies, and it's good if you like Death Note, because like watching it, liking Death Note is such a trip. I highly recommend it, actually. Maybe it's not on Netflix anymore. I don't know. But if you like Death Note and you haven't seen the movie because you think it's terrible, you are correct. But that is why you should go watch it. L has just arrived. A very mysterious, so far faceless figure who guarantees he's going to catch Kira, which is the name that they have given the person who's killing all these bad people. Obviously, they don't know who Light is. So they have introduced the idea that while Light is very clever, L is very, very, very clever as well. They had a broadcast on TV with a person pretending to be L, kind of. Showed his face and everything and his name, and he's just like, we're gonna catch you, we're gonna get you, and then it freaked Light out. So he wrote his name in the Death Note, which I believe is the only name actually written in the Death Note if you buy one of them on Amazon. And the guy dies on TV. And then the real L comes on and he's like, okay, I was testing you. So you can kill people without contacting them or having direct contact with them. And Light is just like, oh my God, realizing his mistake. He just informed this person that he can kill people without touching them or being near them. So he is panicking a little bit now, and so begins the very intricate cat and mouse game that is the crux of the story, as far as I know. It's very good. These two very clever people just like circling each other. The movie did not carry that out very well, but so far so good in the manga. Just as good as the anime, very, very closely. It's like a perfect adaptation for the most part so far. So if you don't like reading the manga, I think you can just go watch the anime, and it's pretty much identical as far as I know. Again, I won't know until I finish this, but so far, this is only volume 1. It's just the same thing. To mention, to further El's cleverness, he only broadcast the thing with the fake guy in a certain region because he was going to broadcast it at different times everywhere to test to see where Kira was in the world, and Light fell for that too. So he knows the vague location of where he is, and then when he revealed himself, it's just this symbol for El, so he doesn't have his name or his face, and Light couldn't kill him, and El was basically taunting him, being like, go ahead, kill me, and it also gave him the information of like, okay, so something about the way I'm presenting myself makes it so you can't kill me, but you kill the other guy. So just immediately, El is really clever, and Light is just kind of dumbfounded by how immediately he screwed himself over. I have finished volume 1. Very, very closely follows the anime for sure. We ended basically with Al really whittling down who Kira might be. He's looking into the police force, specifically the one that Light's dad works in, because he thinks, oh, he must have inside information, so he might be on our team or a family member. So he's closing in already, even at the end of volume 1. And I just started volume 2. Light is trying to, obviously, test some things out, run El around a little bit. He got offered the Shinigami eyes, which is, if you agree to it, you can see the way a Shinigami would, which means you can see someone's name and their remaining life above their head. The cost is half the remaining time you have, so if you were going to live another 50 years, then you'd only live 25. He declined, or he didn't take it. I don't know if he's still debating, but yeah, he doesn't. I think he has too much work to do. He's killed hundreds and hundreds of people at this point already. So an FBI agent has come to help with the investigation. He's got his fiance who's staying in the hotel with him. He was just witness to a carjacking with Light in the, it's a bus jacking. Light was in the bus with him. He set the guy up to die. He robbed a bank, and he tricked him into touching part of the death note. When he touched the death note, you can see the Shinigami that owns the death note. So the guy saw him, lost it, shot him, ran out of the bus, got hit by a car. So now we're with the FBI agent who's looking in on the case. I stopped where he's in the hotel with his fiance, so we're getting to know those characters. So I'll check back in a few minutes. Just want to say, absolutely hate this guy, because his fiance was in the FBI, and I think he made her quit when they got engaged. He's like, you're my fiance now, you're not an FBI agent anymore. She's trying to help him figure out what's going on. He's like, no, you need to just be my fiance and make me tea. I hate him. I hate him real bad immediately. I don't remember what happens to him. I remember some stuff that I won't say yet, but I wanted to share this because I want other people to hate him as well. So I think what I'm realizing as I read these is that I've gotten a lot older, and maybe I'm cynical, maybe I'm harder to impress. But when I read these originally, when I saw the show, I remember thinking it was so clever. Both Elle and Light were so clever. And now that I'm older, I'm realizing I don't feel that way anymore. I guess them being clever, I project that onto the writer of like, wow, all of this must take incredible planning and just being so smart. And I'm reading it and I'm realizing, like, just because Elle figured out something doesn't make him smart, because he's kind of jumping to conclusions and he's right, which makes him come off like some kind of genius. But he's basically just figuring out what is already known by the reader and the writer. Like him being like, oh, it's someone connected to the police department. He has kind of paper thin, like, tracings of how he connected the dots. Like, why in the world? Like, the fact that the first place he wanted to test for the Kira thing with the broadcast happened to be the exact region, just, like, it makes him look really clever. But it's just because, obviously, the writer knew. So I guess I'm just not as impressed as I used to be. It's making me worry I'm not gonna super love this as I continue. Because it's when you know all the answers, it's easy to make characters seem clever. Like, just about kind of everything. Light's little contraption to hide his death note, he just basically came up with a kind of Rube Goldberg machine to set his room on fire if someone opens a drawer. And I used to think, wow, he's so smart that he would think of that. And it's like, I don't know, he could have thought of something else. I guess it's just not hitting the way it did when I was younger. He, like, Elle says, oh, Kira's working alone. And this guy is like, what makes you think that? And then Light's dad's just like, shut up. Don't ask him questions. Let's just listen. It's like, well, no, that's a valid thing. Why does he think Kira's working alone? Oh, don't worry about it. He just knows because he's a super genius. We don't have to address how he came to that conclusion. It's fine. It's fine. Got to a scene I really liked in the show, which is Light is talking to the fiance of the agent that he killed, and she's pretty clever. She knows not to reveal her name, and he did I keep using the word clever, he did a little clever trick, being like, my name's Light Yagami, it means this, and she's like, my name is this, and it means this, and he was like, ha ha ha, internally, I tricked her into telling me what her name is, so he knew her name, and he talked to her because she showed up at the police station with information for the task force, and he wanted to make sure that she didn't have anything that would really help them, and it turned out she did. So he pulls out the death note to write that she kills herself, and then she didn't do that, and he's like, wait, why didn't she do it? Why didn't it work? And he figured out that she used a fake name. And so I remember the tension being really good here, because he's like, well, my dad's the head of the task force, so if he call, I can't give you his number, but if he calls me, I'll let you talk to him. So he's got his phone in his pocket, terrified it's gonna ring, because if it rings and he doesn't give her the phone, she'll know he's Kira. And if it rings and he does give her the phone, she'll give his father enough information that he can really use it to catch him. So he's screwed either way if his phone rings. So he's just like, it's very tense of him being like, I hope it doesn't ring. I don't know what to do. I can't kill her because I don't know her real name. And she knows not to just go giving out her name. So I do like this part. Again, it feels like just identical to the show. I'll have to rewatch the show to make sure, but this might just be a one-to-one adaptation. These scenes I remember vividly in my head from the show. But I do appreciate this is just as tense in the manga as it was in the show. I will say, I am annoyed. This woman's, like, very smart, former FBI, and she does something so stupid. So Light, who is 17 and admitted to her that he's still in high school, is like, I'm on the task force, actually. I work with Elle. And do you want to work with us? And she's just like, after a little bit of talking, it's not immediate, but after a little bit of talking, she's like, yeah, that would be great. Oh, I lied to you about my name. Here's my ID. And it's like, all this 17-year-old had to do was tell you a lie that's a really obvious lie, and you just drop your guard completely, and it got her killed. Like, she dies because of it, and he's so smug. And I actually hate Light reading this. I didn't like him a ton before, but I hate him. He's so evil, which I think is the point. But it's frustrating to see her just hand him her ID, because he's like, I know I'm a child, a literal child, but I'm actually on the task force. And I'm going to invite you to be on the task force because I guess I have that authority. And she's like, yeah, of course. That makes perfect sense. Here's my ID. And he kills her. She's dead because she did something stupid. So, not a satisfying conclusion to this. It makes me think a little bit of Walter White. Although I don't think you really have any room to like Light in this, whereas you like Walter for a little bit and then it turns, but it's just like watching someone become more and more evil as time goes on is interesting, but I'm very frustrated with how foolish she was here. I just wish it had happened a different way. He's just so smug. As soon as she was like, why do you keep looking down? As he was writing her name and stuff, he's like, because I'm Kira. Ha ha ha. Do you want to call my dad now? And then the thing went, or the death note took over and she set off to go die. He's so smug and it makes me want to punch him in the face. I don't know exactly what happens to Light because I never got that far in the show. I hope it's something absolutely embarrassing. I hate him so bad. I can't begin to explain how much I hate this smug little freak. We have the famous potato chip scene from Death Note here. Much less intense than in the anime, but I thought it was worth mentioning. This is volume 3. Light is currently trying to trick his dad into thinking he's normal by sitting on his bed and quietly just looking at softcore? How do you say it? Porn that's like not that intense. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's just he's looking at girls who are like in bikinis or something. He's just looking at it. He's not doing anything but looking at it, and he thinks he looks normal. I think that's weird personally, but it works on his dad. I thought I should check in with volume 3, even though I don't have a lot to say about it. I thought it was an important. Light and Elle met in person. Elle showed up at, I think, orientation for Light, and Light is furious because Elle cleverly trapped him in a situation where he cannot kill him because Elle thinks there's a 5% chance that Light is Kira. So he wants to investigate that, and Light realizes now because he sees Elle's face, but he still doesn't know his name, but he's like, well, if I kill him, they're going to for sure know I'm Kira. So I'm absolutely boned, and he's livid. He is so angry. He has gone off the deep end. He's killing people who did like little crimes. He's trying to sneak it because there's a bunch of cameras in his house, and he was waiting out the cameras to be removed because, they thought there was a tiny chance he could be Kira. They wanted to clear the names of the families of the investigators. So he was doing very, very tiny executions, for lack of a better way to say it. And he's got bloodlust like crazy. I just wonder how it could possibly get worse from here because he's already so incredibly in love with murdering people and what he thinks is purifying the world, but he wants to kill Elle. He just wants nothing more than to murder this man, and that is where I have left off. And I don't have a ton more to say. I am 32% in, so I'm not sure if I'm going to update again before I finish this volume because I don't want this vlog to be insanely long. I'm already going to have to break into pieces because there's no way I can do 11 volumes all in one without the video being 2 hours long. I was wrong. I didn't realize I was right about to get to one of another classic scenes, the tennis match, the literal tennis match between Light and Elle, where Light is just going back and forth on trying to figure out how to make Elle think he's not Kira. Because he's like, well, he knows Kira hates to lose, so if I let myself lose, then he might think that I'm not Kira because I would just have to win. But on the other hand, he might know I think that way. So if I don't win, he'll know I'm faking. It's that kind of stuff, just back and forth, very overthinking, paranoid, which is Light's thing because he knows he's up against someone very smart. And I think it's just a tennis game for for Elle. Why do they both have to have Elle names? So yeah, it's funny in the show. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, the way Light overthinks, but he's made himself paranoid in trying to make this guy think he's not Kira. And I'm pretty sure at the end of it, the percent that he thinks he's Kira goes up a little bit, from what I recall. So his plan doesn't work. Okay, I just finished volume 3 of Death Note, and I will be wrapping this video up because the books are really long and I don't want the videos to get crazy. So part 1 will be just these 3. We have ended with Elle making a new plan to catch Kira because he upped his game, and his Light's father wants to get his name cleared. So he's just post-heart attack, watching Elle suspect his son, thinking there's no way my son could be a murderous monster. Little does he know. But more importantly than Elle coming up with a plan, we have the introduction of Misa, who, if you don't know who she is, she is, I don't really know how to explain her. She's sort of a love interest for Light, but not really, because he doesn't like her that much. But she also has a Death Note and a Shinigami. Spoilers for Misa's entire thing. I'm assuming you might know a little bit about it. She's pretty popular, I think, at least not in a good way. I don't think people really like her, but she's a big character. So I believe she'll be in the story from here to at least the end of the arc with Light and Elle. But I'm excited to see what happens with her coming up, because I don't remember much from the show. I stopped around where she came in. Again, the manga is really close to the show. So I guess my final thoughts are, if you want to consume the story, you might as well just watch the show, because it's a pretty faithful adaptation. It's in color. It's got a dub or a sub for you to pick from. The acting's really good. So yeah, if you want to consume the story, I would suggest for I guess if your preferred method is just reading generally, then I guess go ahead and read it. But I would say watch the show. Don't watch the movie unless you're okay being very frustrated and embarrassed. I actually might watch the movie. I changed my mind a little bit on that because I haven't seen it in a while, and it's entertaining in just a really shameful way. But yeah, this is my conclusion. I would recommend either reading it or watching it. I didn't have a great time revisiting it, but I do recall liking the show a bit more than I seem to like the books. I might actually just go check in with the anime. I will see you next time. Goodbye.